you are not his father.
Oh, dude.
Oh, Ron, get her. We're all here. Are not her father.
A man is suing his girlfriend for the money for a paternity test and for clothing that his girlfriend burned out of her rage, while Mr. Golden believed that he was the father of Miss Campbell's daughter and DNA results would prove it. Meanwhile, the defendant stated that he was not the father, and once it's proven, everything is over with him.
Mr. Golden, you are not only suing for a paternity test, but also for $998.50 for clothing of yours that the defendant destroyed in an argument. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Campbell, you say once the DNA proves Mr. Golden is not the father, you never want to hear his name again.
Yes, Your Honor.
The plaintiff claimed that the sole reason she was acting in this way was because she had grown to despise him after he had slept with her closest friend. He thought it was a game, but the baby's mother claimed that they were in a committed relationship.
She hated me because I slept with her best friend.
You slept with her best friend?
Yes, ma'am. But I did it to get back.
You did? Well,
Yeah.
why would you do that?
I did it to get back out of the spice because she used to do crazy stuff to me as far as burning clothes.
So wait a minute, was this a relationship? Were you all dating? Were you committed?
It was supposed to be a relationship. I guess he didn't look at it as a relationship.
The defendant, though, accepted responsibility and revealed the entire fabrication. She said she caught her boyfriend cheating on her with another lady, but he allegedly went into ghost mode, and that enraged her to the point where she burned his clothes.
The reason why I burnt his clothes is because he told me he was going to walk to the store, right?
Yes.
He's walking with a girl. So I walks up to him, I'm like, what you doing? Who is she? He turned around, started running, ran away from me.
When you look at the monitor, the value of these clothes is estimated at $998.50.
More like $9.99.
I'm looking at
Further, Miss Campbell asserted that the defendant was not capable of being the father, as he was disrespectful. She alleged to be intimate with him, but the dates didn't add up, and that wasn't the day she gave birth.
Okay, I'm over my boyfriend's house. My mom had called me. She was like, can you come braid the back of my hair up? I went over there or whatever, braided her hair up. He comes up there, and he come there, he rubbed on my leg like, you miss me, I know you miss me. Like, you know, trying to convince me or whatever. I'm not gonna tell a story, I was weak.
So you slept with him that day?
Yes, I did.
Did you use protection?
No, ma'am.
However, Mr. Golden stated that she was the maniac woman who was just making up stories to get back at him, as no one had ever seen her boyfriend, suggesting that he may be a ghost.
Did you know she had a boyfriend?
I have never seen this man. Her mom have never seen this man.
So wait, you don't think he exists?
She making it up. Sound like she had a ghost boyfriend.
Why would she do this? You feel like she doesn't want you in her life?
Like I said, she was going crazy. She was.
So you think it's to get back at you?
Yeah.
Finally, Judge Lake asked the witness to step to the podium, and it was revealed that the defendant's mother was standing with the plaintiff, and she testified in favor of the alleged baby daddy like this.
Miss Jones, you are
Jasmine's mother.
Ma'am, did you know anything about this other boyfriend that she says she had?
No, ma'am, I did not.
So you believe Mr. Golden is?
I believe he is the father of my grandbaby.
Ms. Jones revealed that baby mama did not let the plaintiff come to the hospital when the baby was born, and she told the nurses and security to not let him come in. But baby mama swiped it off by saying that he was not the father.
When she got ready to have the baby at the hospital, she wouldn't let him come to the hospital.
Why? And that's not his baby.
He was trying to come to the hospital when the baby was born?
Yes, ma'am. She
Told
told
the security and my nurses,
don't let him in.
No, gave him his full name, don't let him in.
Her birth certificate doesn't have any name on it.
Listed under father's name, nobody.
Nobody.
Whatever happened, burning clothes or destroying someone's property was odd. So it was time to get the rule on the lawsuit, as well as to reveal the DNA secret that was hiding in the envelope. So, let's get to those results.
Mr. Golden, you are not the father.
Thank you.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Golden, come sit down. It's gonna be okay, babe. I know you're upset.
I don't want to go.
Mr. Mitchell fell for her own best friend and their young love. Brought forth by Little London, however, the wrangle in their fairy tale was that there was another potential father in the picture. And if today's DNA doesn't prove that he's the father, the happy ending for this couple will be long gone. But first, let's see how this all started.
I loved how she did stuff. I liked how she cared for me whenever I didn't have anybody that cared for me.
And she said you had a very tough childhood. Is that true, honey?
Yes, ma'am. I was abused. I had to do everything for my family. I raised my 3 sisters and my brother basically by myself.
I understand. So when you moved in with Miss Lohman, it was like finding a family, a real family.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow, Miss Lohman was quite gracious for her age. She told the court how special the defendant was for her, as they had already gotten engaged. The couple had met each other in high school, and once Mr. Mitchell opened a difficult, terrible home life, and the plaintiff asked him to move in with her family.
Your relationship started while he was living with you and your family?
Yes, ma'am. We were sitting on the couch one day just talking, and he kissed me. And I told him, you know, I have a boyfriend, we can't do this. And he just kind of shrugged it off and said, okay. About a week after that, we were in the pool, and we were swimming under the water, and he kissed me under the water, and I came up, and I didn't stop it. You know, we ended up having sex.
Though we felt bad for the baby mama for being stuck in such a mess, it was revealed that the ex had no idea about Mr. Mitchell being the potential father. And to this day, the guy was kept in the dark by the plaintiff. Oof, not fair, right?
When you found out you were pregnant, your ex believed it was his.
Yes, Your Honor, because at the time I also thought it was his.
Why did you think it was his if you knew you were also having sex with Mr. Mitchell?
At the time I was with him, so I wanted to make myself believe that it was my ex.
So you admittedly just lied to yourself and blocked out the Mr. Mitchell possibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
Watching children all confused over their child was hard. That's why the judge skipped to the pregnancy part. Mommy's first choice was her ex, but she pushed him away to know if he was a possibility. She got her conception checked, and it fell between the lapses of their being intimate, which led to a reality check.
I conceived somewhere between October 12th and October 22nd, and I got to looking back at the dates, and I had had sex with Mr. Mitchell more times than I had sex with my ex.
You do understand that it is not a numbers game. You could have sex with someone 20 times and have sex with someone else 1 time, and that 1 time make a baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
After this, the Texas girl told about how she pointed out to her friends turned lover that he was the father and not his ex. But the defendant straight up denied the baby girl, who was his spitting image. But the irony was that, though Mr. Mitchell had a doubt, he was playing the daddy.
I love her to death. She's amazing.
He has been there from day one. He takes care of her, he watches her, and he has treated her as if he's known all along that she is his. The doubts are there, and it's better for everybody, especially London, to know now if he is in fact for certain her father or if he's not.
Up next, the judge asked London's auntie why she was stuck on the doubt part, and she testified that Miss Lohman was taking advantage of her vulnerable cousin, because she knows that the plaintiff would step up as the father, which makes him a better option than the vanished ex, which the mommy denied.
So you basically believe Ms. Lohman has chosen Mr. Mitchell as the best of the 2 options.
Right. No, Your Honor, that is not correct. I love Mr. Mitchell with everything I have. I have been his best friend since day one I met him. I love him not because he will take care of London. I love him because he is my best friend.
However, the defendants claimed that Miss Lohman was just putting on a show for the court, as all of her compassion went out the window after the alleged father denied his daughter. Now for her, it was all about just pinning the baby on him.
The point is this: you say you love this man, and you say you truly believe he's London's biological father. My question is this: is your belief that he's London's biological father rooted in the fact that you love him so much? Or, as she just said, you feel like he's gonna do right by the baby?
I don't know who the father is. With everything out of the bag and all the confusion on conception, we all know where this is headed, though we know that if the result came contrary to what they were hoping for, it was little London who would pay the price.
You are not the father.
Children against their parents. I'm sure you haven't seen anything like this before, but this duo is in paternity court for a tough question. Just recently, a heated argument revealed that Mr. Jacobs might not be their biological father.
I started to hear a lot of noise in my mom's bedroom. He coming out the room, going to the kitchen saying, well, those ain't my kids anyway, so I was doing you a favor, and left out the door.
Wow, not a good way to find out such things, is it? But Mr. Jacobs testified that since the time they were babies, he was the only father in the plaintiff's life, And just one slip of toughness cannot change the history that he had with his children.
Your mother made a comment that really didn't sit too well with me, and it hurt me. You guys didn't hear the whole comment.
You know I was mad. I was just mad. It was out
So,
of anger.
Ms. Hammonds, you're admitting that in the heat of the argument, you said this statement. You made this statement, but it was just in the heat of the moment, you said.
Yes, ma'am.
Even Mommy claimed that it was only the heat of the moment. Well, guess what? Such moments can make you land in paternity court. Miss Razor told the court that all changed her world in just one instance, as her dad walked out of the house like he was never coming back, and Mr. Hunt backed up his sister.
I was sitting in the living room playing video games with my friends. I overheard what he said, and when he walked out the house, I was sitting in a state of shock.
So you overheard this as well?
Yes, I did. Me and my friends, actually, and I was just sitting there like, whoa.
We was having a get together. Everybody was at the house.
And for the siblings, both of the parents were blamed for the swirl in their life, as none of them told them about this before, and neither did they try to hide it long enough. And this ripped the truth out of the mother, and she testified that the guy at the podium wasn't their father.
So explain the different last names. While my name is Razor, his name is Hunt, his name is Jacob, and your name is Hammonds. You say his name came from grandma. He been there for everything.
Precious,
I'm getting married in January. He's supposed to walk me down this aisle. And you gotta tell me the truth. What is wrong?
Miss Hammonds was legit confused, and her face was telling. This made Miss Razor bring up some Tommy guy, who the whole neighborhood thought was her father, but she paid no heed to it, as she already had a father.
And I overheard at a cookout with some of your friends talking about, don't she look like Tommy?
The whole neighborhood talks about this Tommy person that she's supposed to be dealing with. I've been hearing this for years, but I never doubted the fact that he was my father, because he's always been there no matter what. Always. He's been there no matter what.
Turns out this Tommy, or Mr. Farmer, was the supposed brother of Miss Hammonds, and told the court that he was intimate with the mommy in question, but was foggy on the paternity part. And this news was too much for Miss Razor.
Were you intimate with Mr. Farmer? Is what he's saying true?
That's Uncle Tommy. That's just nasty. That's just nasty.
Wow.
That is not my father. That's not my father.
Precious.
No.
There's a possibility I could be your father.
This whole thing is tearing this family apart. However, this affair was only around the time Precious was conceived, and Hector's other potential father still had to be pointed out. Things were so tense in this trial that they were even taking a toll on the judge.
I want you all to take a deep breath. We've got to get through this. Miss Hammonds, you do understand how your daughter feels at this point. She was introduced to this man. She thought it was a brother-in-law. You called him Uncle Tommy. She had no idea somewhere around the time she was conceived you were in a sexual relationship with him. You do understand that,
yes,
right?
ma'am.
It was clear that this family required DNA truth to resolve the paternity question now that it had been discovered. However, it was encouraging to have their sibling's father standing next to them, no matter what the envelope may contain.
You are not her father.
No. Please, I'm begging you. Just talk to me.
I'm not sure, Precious. I'm not sure.
Just talk to me.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Obsession, neglect, or just an attempt to pawn a child. This paternity episode had us all confused right at the start, as it began with Miss Lockridge testifying that Mr. Tidwell has invested enough to name his child, but won't pay his father's duties.
Mr. Tidwell does not have a relationship with my son. The only time he's actually seen my son, when I've made it a convenience for him and brought him to him, that means traveling 4 hours on bus, driving 2 hours on the car to drive to him. He hasn't helped with diapers. He barely helped with any clothes. It's frustrating. He named my son King, and how am I supposed to raise a king? And he's not there.
While Mr. Tidwell believed that naming a child doesn't make any difference, as he had no relationship with the plaintiff, which made it 100% sure he wasn't the father, the defendant further claimed that baby mama was just obsessed with him and would do anything to have him.
I think she's more wants me to be the dad than she really believes I'm the dad. She's obsessed with me, and she's done a lot of different things to make me feel like I'm not the father. She's left town. She's left me with the baby for weeks. She has other men around.
But you named the child.
She gave me the right to do that. She talked to me. I wasn't there at the birth. She only called me when she had the baby.
That's why we start off with the confusion note. It was further revealed that they had been on and off again for the past 6 years. And there was another child who could also possibly be Mr. Tidwell's. But according to the defendant, there were too many men involved in the mix, and it was unlikely that he fathers any of the plaintiff's children.
You said she's done some things that make you feel like you weren't the only person she was sleeping with at the time
I wasn't,
King
no.
was conceived.
She has another guy that she was sleeping with.
Were you aware of anyone else she was involved with sexually?
Not personally, but we weren't.
There was nobody else.
The split between the ex-couple kept getting worse as both parties made accusations. Still, what has us in awe was the way the baby daddy got the pregnancy news. Well, Miss Lockridge left an ultra picture and a sorry note. Things like that ought to raise doubt.
She came over to my house. We hung out. The next day, I see a piece of paper on my bed. I grab it, I looked at it. It was a note with an ultrasound in it. I'm not sure the exact words of the note, but it said that she didn't know how to tell me this, and she's sorry she had to tell me like that. Yeah.
So on the ultrasound picture, did it tell you how many months the ultrasound was?
No, ma'am.
Miss Lockridge further told the court that the defendant was no help, but because she was sure that he was the father, the mommy made sure at every step that the defendant would know that he has to be there for his son.
When I had my son, I was in labor for 36 hours completely by myself, to the point where the nurse that was with me, she had to call the doctor and ask the doctor if she could stay with me because I was by myself.
Your Honor, I didn't know about the pregnancy or know about her having the baby until she was at the hospital.
That's a lie. I texted him. I'm on my way to the hospital. I'm fixing to have this baby tonight.
About now, it was clear that there was no other man in the picture, till Mr. Tidwell was not ready to put his guard down. That's why the judge called in the baby daddy's mother to know why his son was so reluctant about paternity.
She is very obsessed with my son.
I'm not obsessed.
All she talks about is how much she wants to be with him and how she's got a prayer closet at home for him. One day he's gonna be her husband. Well, you know, this is just obsession, really.
But he has admitted, Mom, to being intimate with Miss Lockridge.
Yeah, the guy was feeding her obsession and taking advantage of her while doing it. But now, when there was a baby in the picture, he just wanted to get rid of her. Now that's unfair.
Look at the earmarks, the ear tags. There's nobody else.
Miss Harrington?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you see a resemblance?
No.
Okay, is that why when you first met him, you told me that if your son denies my son that you slap him?
I didn't tell you that.
Or were you just drinking too much?
I didn't tell you that, baby.
You don't see a resemblance, obviously, Mr. Tidwell, nor you, Miss Harrington, and Miss Lockridge, you do.
These people can just go on, and with no clear answer in sight. Nonetheless, the real victim of the situation was a little king who was deprived of his paternity attention, while his mother was busy running after the potential father while he was running away from her. Let's just get to the result.
Mr. Tidwell, you are not his father.
Are you kidding me?
Messed up, man.
I'm sorry, baby. Come. Oh, just...
Oh, Ron, get her. Gianna, calm down, baby. It's okay. We're all here. We're all here.